if you're concerned about transit, I should indicate that of all the plans that I review, having been building subways myself for 10 years in Beijing, Shanghai, and Tokyo, I must say that this gentleman has one of the 4 visions for how transit should work for the City of Toronto. So, may I present to you John Tory.
你好，大家好, ladies and gentlemen. Now, unfortunately, that's all the Chinese that I speak. And I want you to assure me that my friend C.S. Leung just gave me a positive introduction because I didn't understand what he was talking about, but they tell me it was okay. Was it all right? I want to seriously thank C.S. Leung, and I want to thank each and every one of you for being here tonight. It is a pleasure and a privilege for me to be here at an event that is put on by the Agincourt Senior Services Center. And I want to talk a little bit about seniors in a moment, but I want to say thank you for the opportunity to say a few words to you and to share a few thoughts with you. But before I do that, I want to say thank you to the committee, Ricky, May, Tom, Eric, Judy, Rosa, Beatrice, Kenny, and Alex. That's all of the committee members. A round of applause for them, please. And I want to thank them for all their hard work in putting together this evening for the Agincourt Senior Services Center and in asking me to speak to this dinner tonight. And I want to say just a special word of tribute as well. I won't mention, Ricky was the same, all of the people who are running for public office like I am, but there are a number of people here who have been in public office. C.S. Leung, of course, is in public office now as a member of Parliament, and I thank him for being here and thank him for his kind words of introduction. But also, as mentioned, Joe Lee is here, also in public office. Alvin Curling, my good friend who was the Speaker of the Ontario Legislature and Member of Provincial Parliament. Alvin, please. And last but certainly not least, Alan Redway, who is a former Mayor of East York, also a former Member of Parliament and a former Minister of the Government of Canada. At the outset, that one of the things that I think we can all learn from the example set by the Asian communities, including in particular our Chinese-Canadian community, is about respect for seniors. And this is an event tonight that is held by an organization that serves seniors. And I just want you to know that I know it hasn't been lost on me, nor has it been lost on many, many other people as we saw the size and the contribution of our Chinese community here in Toronto and across Canada grow and grow and grow. The degree to which you set an example in the way that you respect and support and look after and love the senior citizens. And I think it is such an important example that is set for all of us because I think you do it as well as anybody else in the world could possibly do it, caring for seniors who so much deserve that respect and that love and that support. So I want to say thank you for that, and thank you for setting that example because it's an example for all of us in Toronto, no matter who we are or where we live in the city or how old we are. It's an example of making sure we care for everybody and don't leave anybody to fall between the cracks. So thank you very much. Give yourselves a round of applause. I will say to you that I think we have our work to do in the coming years because there are more and more seniors coming. I have to remind myself, if my wife doesn't remind me, that I'm only 5 years away from being a senior citizen, at least the way we define them at age 65. And while I hope that I won't need a lot of support from the government or from my fellow citizens or from my own family, because as we, of course, do better and better with health care and so on, we don't need as much care. You can't assume anything. And so again, that example that is set is important, but so is the need for our governments, including at the City Hall, to develop plans to make sure that we're ready to deal with the increased number of senior citizens on things ranging all the way from shoveling the snow to a whole bunch of other things that relate to people's health and well-being as senior citizens. And so I just hope that that is the kind of leadership I'll be able to show at the City Hall to make sure we have those plans in place so we're ready for the increased number of senior citizens that are coming in the years ahead. Now, beyond that, I want to just talk to you about 2 or 3 things that are important to me and I think are important to you in terms of this city. We're all proud of this city. I know we are, no matter whether we've been here for generations or whether we've come in the last little while. We're very proud of the city because it embraces everybody, because it has set an example for the world over in terms of embracing and receiving people from around the world and very quickly accepting them into every aspect of life here. We still have some work to do in that regard, because there are still people who come to Canada from various places where we don't make the kind of effort to get them fast enough into employment or fast enough into different aspects of life here in Toronto. But we've done very well, and we stand as an example to the rest of the world. And when you see all the lists published in different magazines and on television saying we're in the top 5, the top 4, the top 6 of places to do business or to live in the world, that is a measurement of how well we have done. But you also might have noticed that in recent times we've been slipping down those lists a little bit. And there are reasons why we're slipping down those lists. And when you're near the top, you want to be striving to be at the top and not to be satisfied with slipping down the list from 3rd place to 4th place to 5th place, because you know it can keep going if you let it keep going, as opposed to saying, no, we're going to turn that around and aim for the top. And I can tell you that as Mayor of Toronto, I want to take those lists and turn around the very slight, but nonetheless the small decline that we've seen on those lists and say, no, we're going to go for number 1. We're going to go for number 1. I've never been to Melbourne, Australia. Some of you probably have been to Melbourne, Australia. But Melbourne, Australia, this week in The Economist magazine was named the #1 most livable city in the world. I'm sure Melbourne is very nice, but I'm sure that Toronto can easily strive to be number 1 and to be everything that Melbourne is and more, but we're going to have to work at it. And that starts, my friends, I think, with traffic and transportation in this city. I think you all know, and it's as true in this part of the city as it is downtown, as it is in the West End, as it is in North York, that the traffic has become unbearable and unmanageable for many people. It is getting worse and worse and worse. And that's very bad for families, because people are kept away from their children. It's very bad for business, because people are not able to spend the time they want to spend doing their work and then going home to their families. It's bad for the environment. It's bad for people's pocketbooks, because when they sit in traffic jams, they're burning gasoline that's very expensive. And I can tell you right now, if you go to my website, I'm not going to stand up here and repeat it tonight, there are 10 or 11 or 12 things I put on my website that are specific measures to make the traffic move better in the city of Toronto. And you know what? I got most of them from previous reports written by the city staff and by the city council in previous years, including the last 4 years. But the only problem is they've written a lot of reports and had a lot of ideas, but they haven't actually implemented any of the things they've written in the reports. And I'm going to do better than that with my colleagues on the City Council, because we simply have to get the traffic moving faster than it's moving now, because you're sitting in those traffic jams with your children, away from your families, away from your work, and it's just not good enough for Toronto. I'll give you one small example of what I'm going to do about the traffic, and sometimes people think I'm making a joke, but I'm not. I'm very serious about it. Maybe when I mention a Brinks truck full of money, I'm making a small joke, but not really. Because you've all had the experience, especially downtown, but in this part of the city as well, where you're trying to drive somewhere and a lane of traffic is blocked by a delivery truck, or by a shredding truck, or by a Brinks truck. And they do their business and cause you to sit for 5 or 10 minutes in traffic, many, many cars and many, many people, and some TTC buses as well, while they do their business. And we can't have them doing that anymore. Their business is important, but not more important than the lives of all the people sitting in those traffic jams. And so you know what I've said? We issue now thousands and thousands of parking tickets to those people when they park in rush hour on busy streets. That's obviously not working. So I'm going to use a tow truck to send the message and to say, you can't do that anymore. We're going to tow away those vehicles that block the traffic. And I think if we tow away one delivery truck, one shredding truck, and then especially one Brinks truck full of money and tow it somewhere, we will get their attention. So that's the kind of thing we're going to have to do to say we're serious about traffic. Now, C.S. Leon mentioned transit. My transit plan consists of adding more express buses. It adds programs to get buses moving faster, but it also consists of something called Smart Track. And Smart Track is a good idea. Why is it a good idea? Because it takes the existing GO train tracks that run all over the city. And it takes two of those lines in particular that run all the way from Etobicoke down